everything.
Edition of the 20 in the Huddle podcast. I am going to cycle through all of our rookie draft picks to let you guys get to know a little bit more about these guys, the newest Lions. And first off, Blake Miller, Clemson, first round draft pick, obviously, tackle. Welcome to Detroit. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So does it feel real now a little bit? Does it feel a little more real now, Blake, being here, signing the contract, being with the veterans in the meeting room, and is it like you pinch yourself now? Now it feels real?
Yeah, it definitely feels a little bit more real now. Still itching to get out there on the field, get helmets, get shoulder pads on, but it definitely feels a lot more real, and being able to be around everyone, interact with everyone, and, really get to work with all the staff here has been awesome.
And speaking of the staff, just maybe first impressions of Hank Fraley. Known around the league as probably one of the best offensive line coaches, a former player. So he's not going to ask you to do anything he hasn't been asked to do or hasn't done himself personally. Maybe just first impressions of Hank.
Yeah, it's been amazing. He's a great teacher when it comes to schematics, like really, helping me pick everything up very quickly and no gray area and stuff. And then also, too, when it comes to technique, like he's a technician. Like everything needs to be perfect because when you go out there, you don't want to be thinking about your technique. Now's the time to think about it. And he's really emphasized that to us.
The smart rookies in this league kind of attach themselves to veterans, guys that have been around that have done it. Have you done that at all? I know it's only been a few days here, but have you started to do that? And is maybe Penei one of those guys that you hope to kind of attach yourself to? That'd be a pretty good one to start off with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been just trying to get as much input from as many guys as humanly possible. I feel like everyone has something to offer, and guys kind of emphasize different things in their own game, so they're able to notice things in my game and help me with that. And I really appreciate how welcoming everyone's been and open to give me advice, and it's been great. It feels like a big family in there.
3,778 snaps, 54 straight collegiate starts. I think you missed 2 practices. Well, what do those numbers mean to you?
To me, it's just a blessing. I can only thank God for that. Just looking over me, keeping me injury free, just giving me the will to be out there. I really am so blessed and grateful. And hearing you say that, it's a blessing.
Obviously, the focus being here this first week is football, but what does Blake Miller like to do when he's not here?
Yeah, obviously, it's been a lot of football. I've been playing some golf, play golf with my dad and some of his buddies, and, do a little scramble action. I'm not good enough to go out there and, play my own ball, but, I make a pretty good scramble partner. I'll hit a good couple shots here and there and keep us in the game.
Has anybody told you about Michigan golf yet?
Not really. I know
so
we're
Michigan
pretty
has over 740. I think it's got the most golf courses in any state. I mean, it is everybody thinks of Florida, California, obviously when you think golf, but I'm telling you, Michigan is a hidden golf gem that you're gonna have some fun with.
Yeah, I'm excited. I tell my buddies back at Clemson, that there's this different charm to Midwestern golf, and they don't understand what I'm talking about, but those in the know.
You started lifting at a young age, and I think you started lifting with the varsity when you were in 7th grade. I think it was. Just, you're also a state champion wrestler. What does the weightlifting and the wrestling, how does that define your game, contribute to your game, and just how do you think those things have made you a better football player? Yeah,
obviously being able to weightlift kind of at an early age, I feel like you build up a wide base to build your strength pyramid on it, if you want to say that. I think too it allows you now to focus on a lot more bar speed, explosiveness, quickness, control, and also too working those muscles that you don't just work while you squat or bench press, really working those core muscles, making sure everything stays connected, making sure you're able to brace well. That's been a focus of mine. Then you talk about wrestling, obviously O-line leverage is very important. I feel like wrestling teaches that really well. So, just maintaining leverage through blocks, being able to, get your body in good positions where you're powerful but under control.
Got to ask you, what was it like putting pen to paper on that contract this week? It's life-changing kind of money. Is there anything that you look to buy right away? Is it just that you splurge on, or kind of what's the thought there?
Honestly, it was obviously a very, very surreal moment, kind of realizing that, growing up watching the NFL on TV, it just seemed like a pipe dream, and to kind of be there putting pen to paper on a contract was, a great feeling, and, like I said, an amazing blessing. I don't really know that there's anything that I'm itching to buy, just, I don't know, just enjoying the people I'm around is the biggest thing for me. So maybe go to like a nice dinner with family, girlfriend, whoever that is.
Very modest guy here. What was the funnest part of the first week? Let's finish with that.
I'd say just like getting to meet everyone. You know, you go into a different room. I feel like the O-line, like there's a lot of different personalities in there. You know, a lot of guys that are very kind but also very funny. You know, throw a couple jabs in there, but it's, you know, that kind of humor, and just being able to meet those guys, be around them, and kind of still getting the feel for everyone, but just meet all those new personalities was awesome.
It's a nice mix in there, isn't it? Of veteran guys, young guys, different personalities. That's always been kind of a jokester type of room over the years with some of the guys that were in there. Do you think you fit into that room real well?
I think I do. You know, I don't want to speak too soon, but, you know, I really like the guys in there, and I feel like we got a great group. OTA
is coming up at the end of the month. You'll be on the field, and then before no time, the pads will be on, and it gets real. Blake, thanks so much for joining me. Appreciate it. Good luck joining the veterans here in upcoming training camp.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the 20 Mile Huddle podcast. Very happy to welcome in Derrick Moore, second round pick, edge rusher out of Michigan. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate the time.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You know, two Michigan men now on the edge of this defensive line here in Detroit. I think you missed Aidan by 1 year at Michigan, correct?
Yep.
But just how familiar are you with him? How much did he come back? How much are you looking forward to kind of having two Michigan men on the edge of this defensive front?
You know, I mean, Hutch probably only came back probably like twice or three times since my time had been in Michigan. But, you know, going into it, you know, it's probably really exciting to play against him. Well, play with him.
Yeah.
You know, just the history that he left and the touch that he left on Michigan, how much people there love him. And then even myself, you know, just watching him and all the things that I learned from even just watching him and the knowledge that he even gave me since the time that, you know, we talked or anything like that, you know, how much he kind of like really impacted me a little bit. So just to be a part of, you know, this defensive unit with him, you know, I'm looking forward to learn a lot from him, grow with him, and also just dominate with him as well. So that's it, really.
I know that was a little motivation for you at Michigan, too, wasn't it? I mean, trying to get some of those sack numbers and pass him up in that legacy that he left there. A little motivation for you, right?
Yeah, that was definitely one of my goals, trying to get, you know, to that single year sack season. Unfortunately, I finished with 10, but, you know.
Only 10.
You know, only 10, but, you know, I really wanted it, but, you know, that just showed how great he is. So, you know, I got a lot of things to work on, but, you know, even being across from him now, I'm just trying to compete with him at the same time now, because now it's like, all right, who gonna be the fastest to get to the quarterback?
You know, how much do you value special teams too? Just because that's kind of like you said, you built your career at Michigan, you earned your way up playing special teams. Look, a lot of young guys in the NFL, that's where they get on the field first. Not to say that will be the case with you, but just you seem like a guy, just watching your tape and listening to you, that values that aspect of the game. And how important is that to you?
Oh, very important. You know, getting on the field and helping your teammates. And I think special teams in the NFL, it's different from college. Like you take pride in being on those units, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to, whatever role I have, I'm going to do the best of my ability. And you know, whether that's start linebacker, backup linebacker, special teams guy, whatever it is, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to play hard, play for my team, play for my teammates, and do it to the best of my ability.
You know, the Lions were pretty shocked that you were still available when they were on the clock in the fifth round. You know, Brad Holmes, Lions GM, said, look, we had a third round grade. You know, we expected that he wouldn't be there. Were you a little bit surprised too about your draft journey here, and is that motivation at all for you?
Nah, definitely thought I would go earlier, but you know, I'm a big believer in, you know, my faith and that everything, you know, God got a plan, and you know, everything already written. So this is my plan for me to be aligned, and you know, I don't matter if it was first round, second round, third round, or undrafted. Like I was meant to be aligned, and you know, I'm glad to be here. I wouldn't want it no other way.
So what's your superpower on the field? Because you look at your tape at Alabama, you know, you got kind of labeled the gimmick guy or whatever, just because you do a lot of the, you know, jet sweeps and the quick screens, and getting the ball in your hands was what people wanted to do just because of what you can do with it in your hands. But what do you think is your kind of superpower on the field? What do you hope to show people maybe beyond kind of that label?
Yeah, I mean,
already kind of what they already know. Like you said, I'm a ball in hand type of guy, but just the aggression I bring to the game, the passion I bring, my body type that a lot of people wouldn't kind of label me as a receiver. They'd probably take me at a back or linebacker or something like that, or maybe a safety. But I'm a receiver, and I'm gonna continue to stick to it and work to it each and every day.
How old were you when you knew that you were special with the ball in your hand? Was there a moment? Was there an age? Was there a play? Was there a game when you were like, okay, like you just get the ball in my hands and I can do something pretty special?
Yeah, I feel like I've never just honestly sat down and evaluated myself. I just knew, the sky's the limit. As long as I continue to show up each and every day and continue to work, I can continue to do everything I do.
How important are special teams to you too? Because when you watch the tape, it's not just the receiving part of it, but you played gunner. You returned kicks. That's a big part of kind of what they do here. And Dan spends a lot of practice time doing it. He preaches how important it is. How important are special teams to you? Because you seem like a guy that looks like he can contribute right away on teams.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like, special teams is the biggest part of the game. It's where games can be won or lost. It's where, field position can be, took or lost. And I feel like, without special teams, football isn't football.
Dude, I loved your story of the draft and just how you ended up here, because it's pretty crazy. You're at a Division II school. You say, look, I don't want to do this Division II thing anymore. I want to go Division I. You have to wait a little bit. Northern Illinois kind of comes calling.
Yeah.
But they're like, you're a linebacker at Division II, and they're like, yeah, we'd like you to gain 50 pounds and play defensive line. What was your first reaction to that? And just how did you accomplish 50 pounds in 4 months? What were you eating?
Yeah, so my journey's been crazy. When I entered the portal after my D2 school, Upper Iowa, I didn't get any offers the first wave of the portal. So the second I was working, I was training, and the very last few days of the second wave being open, Coach G. Lee from NIU had called me, and he was like, yeah, man, we'll offer you as a walk-on as a D tackle, and I was super excited. I remember I was at my friend's Omar's house. He's kind of like a brother to me, but I was there, and he was sitting right there when he called me, and I was super excited. I think I ran out the house, but then I get off the phone. I was like, wait, I got to play D-tackle. I got to play D-tackle, and I was excited.
How much did you weigh at that time when you had that phone call?
I was probably like 225.
Okay.
When I was on the phone.
So you were a good-sized linebacker.
Yeah. And I was like 225, and I was like, okay. So I called my trainer, Johnny Bridgewater, and we put on 50 pounds. We're training twice a day. I was eating Chipotle like 4 times a day.
Can you eat Chipotle to this day?
I still eat it every day.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you got to put on weight, like you eat something so much, you almost get like grossed out to it.
Nah,
but no, Chipotle.
It's too good.
Okay.
But I was doing that the whole summer because they didn't want me to come in the summer because they didn't want to waste a spot on a guy they didn't even know could play. So I got in there fall camp, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. The mantra this offseason for this team has been kind of, it's all about business, right? That was the schedule release video as well. I'm just curious, do you get a sense from the vets and even the new guys coming in that is kind of a philosophy permeated around the building now? Like, let's just get back to business, get back to 2022 when we were hungry, and let's take care of our business.
For sure. Walking in here every morning basically, and seeing just how people move, and see what track everybody trying to be on, lets me know that everybody's about business.